We're going to have some words from Jack McCauley, who is one of the authors on this report, as well as Gord Delbridge from QP 500. So to begin, I want to start by acknowledging that we're gathered here today on Treaty 1 territory, the homeland of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dene, Dakota people, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We gather our water here from Shoal Lake First Nation and our energy from rivers on Treaty 3 territory. And here at the CCPA, we are committed to confronting colonialism and the research that we do and its ongoing impacts on people in the city of Winnipeg, including poverty. And we want to acknowledge that all workers on this land deserve a fair wage, and that's what we're going to be discussing here today. So before I introduce our two speakers, I just want to say a little bit about this report. This report is really, could not be more timely. We're in the midst of a civic election, which is going to set the direction for the city of Winnipeg over the coming years. QP 500 workers are in the middle of tough negotiations with the city, which tie directly into the content of this report. As in so many cities across the country, successive city councils here in Winnipeg have balanced their austerity agendas on the backs of public sector workers. Year after year, tax cuts have been paid for through service cuts and wage restraint for city staff. This needs to change. I'll now pass it over to Jack McCauley, who's going to share some details of this report before Gord gives a final speech. Jack.
Good afternoon. My name is Jack McCauley. I'm a researcher with the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives Manitoba office and co-author of the report Falling Behind: Service and Wage Declines at the City of Winnipeg. Today I'm here to provide some insight on staffing and service shortages at core City of Winnipeg departments and share what we found when comparing civic wages to the rising cost of living. After analyzing the wages of numerous full-time positions housed at QP Local 500, as well as operating budgets across a range of civic departments, we came across a number of findings we wish to share with you today. This summer, you may have noticed your local library closed or community pool dry more often than not. Maybe you were hoping to spend a Sunday afternoon taking your kids to the park or taking them to the pools for swimming lessons, only to be turned away at the sight of a closed sign. Or perhaps you're like me, someone on hold for 10 minutes or 20 minutes with 311 trying to pay that parking ticket when last year it took you 5. Behind these disruptions to city services lies an inability for the city to recruit and retain workers due to low wages, primarily driven by a dramatic rise in the cost of living. Up until 2016, Local 500 frontline workers achieved small yet meaningful wage increases, reflecting rises in the cost of living, which is roughly 2% per year. However, recently, with inflation hitting 8% this past summer and without a wage increase since 2019, the value of previously effective wage increases for QP members who are part of this report have eroded. In this report, we calculated the real wages of librarians and library shelvers, recreation programmers, trades positions, and a handful of other positions. We used real wages so that we can measure purchasing power. We believe in this case, wages should be measured in terms of how far your dollars take you compared to 20 years ago. We found that the wages of Local 500 workers are not taking them as nearly as far as they did 20 years ago. For example, at the beginning of last summer, there were over 80 vacant positions at Winnipeg libraries. Since 2017, the real wages of librarians have fallen by $2 an hour. Seasonal recreation technicians earn minimum wage. In real terms, the minimum wage currently runs close to $8 an hour. 311 customer service representatives at the get-go earn roughly $14 an hour. Again, in real terms, this amounts to just under $10 an hour. This past month, the CPA announced the living wage for Manitoba, which is the wage required for workers and working families to achieve decent standard of living. At $18.34 an hour, many positions at the City of Winnipeg fail to come close to this level. In addition to this, we found that trades positions under Local 500 have lost their long-standing wage competitiveness with private sector counterparts. Since 2003, and more intensely as of recent, the wage growth of carpenters, electricians, and mechanics in QP 500 roles have been outpaced significantly compared to the provincial average. According to their website, City of Winnipeg is still trying to recruit heavy-duty transport technicians, water and waste technicians, and a machinist. The City of Winnipeg has typically been regarded as a workplace with good wages, good benefits, and a decent working environment. But after years without meaningful wage increases, this no longer appears to be the case. We found these wage decreases and staffing shortages running parallel to compressed budgets and reductions in civic employment. Since 2010, changes in departmental operational budgets suggest that these core city services have fallen at the bottom of the priority list. In real terms, recreation funding has fallen 8.5%, libraries 5.5%, and funding for 311 has lost roughly a quarter of its funding since 2010. Finally, we found a significant reduction in the number of civic employees in these departments. Both recreation and libraries have lost nearly a quarter of their staff since their inception. If the city wishes to act upon recruitment and retention struggles in these core city departments, revising salary schedules more in tune with the rising cost of living is a must. This past summer highlighted the initial consequences of lagging public investment relative to the growing demands of Winnipeggers. Coming out of the pandemic, there is momentum for governments to make bold, courageous decisions reflecting increased investment in the public services that Winnipeggers rely on. And now is the time to make those decisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. And now I'll invite Gord Delbridge to give us some final remarks.
Thank you, everyone. And I just want to thank the CCPA for doing this report. I think it's timely, it's needed now, as we're in this current state of our economy where everyone is struggling. Workers, not just city workers, but workers right across the city of Winnipeg and right across our nation that are struggling. And so it's very important for us, to get the message out at this time now while we're in the midst of a civic election, and we've got many decision makers that need to hear some of these concerns, because we're having recruitment and retention issues within the city of Winnipeg now at record levels that we've never seen before. We've got services that we're not able to provide to the citizens of Winnipeg that they deserve. We've got to do so much more. The impact that the city of Winnipeg staff have on our local economy and local business is certainly going to be impacted if we don't get wages that coincide with the economic downturn. And now more than ever, I think that it's important that we stress these needs and make some headway. So I just really want to thank the CCP for this report. I encourage everyone to pull it up. The report will be online. We are currently in negotiations right now, and our members are being very reasonable and very fair with what they're asking. We realize that with the state of our economy, that the employer, the city of Winnipeg, has got their financial challenges. But us as city employees, we have financial challenges as well. We're willing to be reasonable. We're willing to share, some of those challenges. But at this point in time, we're just not there. So we need some of our policymakers. We need to step up to the plate and support working class people now, not only for the city of Winnipeg, but for working class people right across the board that are going to be impacted, by these wage increases. And I've mentioned, whether it's local business, the state of our local economy, working class Winnipeggers. We set trends. The city of Winnipeg used to be an employer of choice. That's no longer the case. And so we've got to return to a time where people can live with some comfort and be treated with some respect and dignity. So thank you, everyone. Next, I see that we've got some city councilors. I see Councillor Cindy Gilroy at the back waving. Thank you for being here. And Sherry Rowlands. Sherry, would you be willing to come up and say a few words? Sherry has been chair of our community services department, and she's been a strong advocate for a lot of our public service, and so I'd most certainly like to hear from Sherry.
So I'll tell you some of what's in this report. I know really full well. I'm going to stand on my tiptoes. Thank you. 5'3". And I know it full well because together with Councillor Cindy Gilroy, she and I have formed the only gender-based analysis that there is in the city of Winnipeg, 2 women on the Executive Policy Committee. And I'll tell, yeah, you can clap for that, thanks. Because I think we're falling behind on female candidates in this election, and I think we're falling behind on anyone talking about gender-based analysis. And when it comes to library services, when it comes to rec services, guess who occupies these jobs? Women. So guess what happened during the pandemic and who was hit hardest? Women. So it should be up to women to say something about that and to stand up for the jobs that Winnipeggers care about. And as a city councillor, I know that myself and Cindy Gilroy have been standing up. Cindy, the longest serving woman on EPC, by the way, have been standing up for issues like this. Issues that act like a pile-on effect on the city of Winnipeg, on its workers, and really on the families, the young families that need a response from political actors like me and like council.